We now move on to the next one, which is breaking barriers, empowering women entrepreneurs in an Udyami Bharat environment. I have the pleasure of inviting on stage our distinguished panelists for the engaging discussion. May I please invite on stage Ms. Harjinder Kaur, founder of Comvision India Private Limited, Ms. Monica Bahl, CEO, Beauty and Wellness Sector Skill Council, Dr. Rajni Aggarwal, President of Federation of Indian Women Entrepreneurs. And to moderate this wonderful session, may I please have Ms. Anandita, National Sales Head, Enterprise Accounts and Sales and Marketing Solution, Dun & Bradstreet, India. I truly believe when there is a panel filled with women, and especially if there's a lady who's moderating a panel discussion, there would be a lot of insightful takeaways. So I'm really excited for this one. And Anandita, over to you, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the warm welcome and the introduction. And I'd like to invite everybody on my panel. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I'm Anandita, National Sales Head at Dun & Bradstreet, moderator for this wonderful panel, if I may call it so. We had some really exciting discussion inside during the ice-breaking session. And we're going to be looking at how, we've got great representation today in Harjinder, in Monica, and in Rajni, who will be covering all of the aspects in terms of how they have walked the journey. The success story is very, very important. When we're talking about barriers, we're just not talking about the problems that we have faced. We do not want to make it about that. We're making it more like a learnings journey. We're looking at the do's and don'ts in the journey that they have faced and the message that they would want the women entrepreneurs in general who are moving this particular path to walk the journey. So welcome all of you. When we're talking about women entrepreneurship, the current ratio is at 21%. Only, if I may say so. While we're walking a journey of looking at diversity to be at 40% to 60%, a 21% ratio says that we have so much more to do. So while we are talking about your success stories, and I'll start with you, Harjinder, when the spirit of Udyami Bharat, where entrepreneurship is encouraged for all, what are the unique challenges that you faced in your journey as a woman entrepreneur, especially being an early entrant in providing solutions of e-governance arena in India? So what do you think have been the key learnings and any specific do's and don'ts that you would want to bring around here?
Thank you, Anandita. It's a pleasure to be here, ladies and gentlemen. And she's asking about specific challenges that I had. So for everybody, I must tell you that the kind of business I have, I'm the only woman in that business. It's intelligent traffic and transport. We do toll roads and we manage toll roads in India. Our solutions, we're #1 player in India today, and others are all male suppliers to the government. It's a public procurement. I supply to MORTH and NHAI, and those solutions when I supply, and when I walk into a room where I'm going in for negotiation and there are bureaucrats sitting there, first I have to cross 2 barriers. First, they look at me as the only woman, and I have to convince them that I know my business, okay? And then I start negotiating with them at par with others. So that's one thing, that when you do public procurement or when you go to government office, the perception of the officers that a woman can do business was not existing, it exists now. So that challenge was there. Yes. Then second challenge is that when you supply to government, and the government is the biggest buyer in our country, I must tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that sometimes there is an autocratic decision by government officers even after they've given you the order. I was telling her, last week I received a cancellation from a government department for an order worth 17 crores. They just cancelled. They said, we're terminating and we're not interested in doing this anymore. And our sales team had sort of accepted it. They gave me a call. They said, ma'am, no, nothing can be done. And how I messaged the top officer in that state saying that if you cancel the orders like this, what is the message you're sending across India? People are looking at your state and you're doing ease of doing business. You're doing investment summits, and this is the way you're cancelling the order. Tell me the fault that we have. The order was resolved back. So second message, ladies and gentlemen, especially for the ladies that I'm giving, is that when you're doing work with government, I was telling Anandita, तो 10 पैसा 25 पैसा बदमाशी चाहिए होती है. I mean, you don't need to be rude, you don't need to be wrong, but you should have your way. You should say, I mean business. And for government, they'll never give you business because you're a woman entrepreneur. A business person is a business person. They look at your pre-qualification, they look at your technical qualification, and if you are there suiting and matching both the criteria, then only they'll give you business. So if they have checked everything, and if they have not given you added advantage because you were a woman, then why should you take all the, whatever from them?
Absolutely. And that's such an important point that you made, right, Harjinder? Nobody is going to give you business because you're a man or a woman. They're going to give you business because you deserve and you're capable of handling that. So, picking from that cue, I just want to ask you, Monica, you've been in the beauty and wellness sector, and, you're a part of that skill council. So how do you see skill development empowering women, and anything specific in skill development that is being taken up for women entrepreneurs to launch and thrive their own businesses?
Thank you so much. And first of all, thank you for inviting me here, and a very happy International Day of Yoga today. Today is the 10th edition of International Day of Yoga. And before I answer your question, if I have your permission, I would like to talk a bit about it. The theme of this year's International Day of Yoga is Yoga for Women Empowerment, which I think goes very well with your discussion of the panel that we are all sitting on. Going back on the opening statement that you made, that the women workforce participation in India, which has grown to a 22.6% as of today when we speak, I would say the same is reflective in this group itself. If you look at the audience, we've got less than 22% participation of women, and that goes for everything. And I would say the lower we go in the pyramid, the difficult it becomes for a woman to step into the workforce, barring if it's only to provide 2 meals on the table. So having said that, I'll come back to on the question that you've asked me. Yes, I am here representing a sector skill council, and we work under the aegis of Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. In 2014, when our Honorable Prime Minister took charge of his first term as a Prime Minister, his vision was very, very clear. A, to get women thrive in the business, and that's been reflective in most of the schemes that the government has been floating around. And second, to give them the skill. And the skills that I'm talking of, they are not gender specific. Each one of us who's sitting in this room, we've acquired either education or skills. In our kind of an education system, we learn in school and colleges, which is theoretical, and when we come at our workplace or the offices or wherever we are, we learn those skills there. And I would just quote what my co-panelist just mentioned. She talked about the negotiation skills. She's also learned it the hard way when she started walking around. And these kind of skills currently also are not a part of the core education system. What government is doing is, we are making skills aspirational. We want the youth of our country to be skilled. We do not want them to come out of colleges with degrees in their hand, but no skill to get a livelihood. So that's the first thing that the government is doing. Second, government through NEP 2020, I think most of you must have heard of it. It's National Education Policy 2020, which was introduced 3 years back. Through that policy, there's been a slight shift in the education which has been delivered to our younger generation from middle school. We are following the path of, I would say, developed nations like Germany, Japan, Singapore, which have just not made skills aspirational, but have given skills that kind of the stature in the society that it's at par with education. So our government is again making small steps, and we've introduced skills from class 6 onward. But we still have a long way to go and to follow Germany, where 83% of their students who pass out from schools have one or the other skill along with the school certificate. But we are moving towards there. And a big thing that has been done from last 5 years been during our school days, we used to have 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. There used to be a subject called SUPW. Anyone remembers that? Yeah. Anyone can share the full form of SUPW? Absolutely. Socially useful, which was never useful to any one of us. So government from last 5 years, and not just in CBSE and ICSE schools, but even in government schools, have introduced a skill subject from class 9th. A student in class 9th can opt out of not choosing an SUPW subject, but choose one of the skills. Those skills are at par with the education parameters of English, math, science, everything. And an exam is conducted through Sector Skill Council in 10th and 12th, the way they do a science practical and physics, chemistry, biology, they do a skill practical through a third party, through us. And you will be surprised at the number of students in the government ecosystem who are picking up skills in addition. And now they even have a choice out of the 5 best subjects. The 12th mark sheet has, you can pick up language and plus 4 subjects. So skill can be picked up as one of your subjects. So that's where we are making small efforts, and rest I'll come on the second part of the question.
Perfect. So yes, like you said, right, education plays a very important role, and the education system, are we equipping people to move the journey on entrepreneurship? I was having an interesting conversation with Rajni inside, and she was talking about how women entrepreneurs in tier 1 are, more, have more access to resources. So I'd actually divert that question to you, Rajni, where what are the most significant socio-cultural barriers that you think that the women entrepreneurs are facing today in India, and how do you think that we can adequately address them to create a more inclusive and supporting environment for women in business across the country?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me here today. When looking at the audience, as of course already Monica has mentioned, but I feel good because what is required is the change of mindset. And more men are needed to really understand it. So here, if the number of men are more, I'm very happy about it. Because at least the people sitting here will have, change of mindset and understand that it's very important in today's life. Well, the social cultural barriers are very old, as we know. If we remember our old class books, even I don't think it has changed, that it says that the mother is working in the kitchen and the father has gone to the office. So since childhood, we learn this theory, that women is supposed to work in the house and men is supposed to go out and work. And to my surprise, when I was going through a few books, I found Mahatma Gandhi, who has worked so much for women, and he really encouraged women to come forward in all his activities, he also said that the women should come forward for social and religious activities, but stay away from commercial activities. So, our forefathers always believed in a traditional setup of family. And that's the biggest drawback, and that's the biggest mindset which needs to be changed in today's time. Because things have completely changed, the outlooks have changed, the scenario has changed. As I was just sharing with you that we as an entrepreneur faced a lot of problems. And I find that those biases is still working today. When I went to my banker first time and I had a television industry, I started manufacturing television in 83, 84. And then I went to the banker and he said, what is your management percentage? And I didn't understand, to be very frank. I was just, I didn't know what is management. And I thought I'm capable enough. And I understand everything. I know how to take forward my industry. And then I came and I went back next time and I said, well, I'm a one-person management. That's more than enough. I don't think I require, the other team will, of course, will come forward and be a part of me, but till that time I'm there. So the biggest issue is whether we go to access to finance or we go to, for access to, mentoring or for inspiration for that. But these are few issues which are required very much for community development, for women entrepreneurs development. And for that, family support is most important. The ultimate importance is family support because women is always disproportionately working on household chores because she is taking care of children, she is taking care of home, her family members and everything. Whereas man is totally focusing on work. So this disproportion really doesn't give much time to women to work on. So I think that's where, again, the mindset of men needs to be changed, and I think it starts with the families. Access to finance, we of course, is a big issue because women, most of the women do not have anything in their names, no properties, no any other financial support. So for that matter, they find a lot of difficulties, and the bankers, again, gender bias, so their outlook is, again, they are very doubtful. Even today, when a startup goes to a banker, if a man is along with her going, he will talk to the men and not to the women because he always feels that the man knows much better about the industry than a woman knows. So this mindset plays a very big role, and this gender bias is still continuing. I remember when I started my business, I used to go to Noida Authority or even in Delhi. In Noida Authority, once I was just waiting for the officer to meet, and it was at lunchtime, and I saw two men talking to each other, saying, oh, I allow that woman to come here and again, अच्छी शक्ल देखने को तो मिल जाती है, काम हो या ना हो. So, that's the attitude of men. It's all over. It's still continuing. And that mindset needs to be, and women have been able to really change it. Women has shown that she can do, she can handle everything, and she can really go beyond what people are thinking that she's limited to only her household affairs and not beyond it. So the social, cultural barriers need to be changed only through the mindsets and the inspirational activities which we do, like we give awards in Federation of Indian Women Entrepreneurs. That is an inspiration for all women entrepreneurs. They find it good that they are able to replicate and see that, okay, if so many women are getting awards, why not we also do? So these are the few things I feel.
No, I think you've, highlighted a lot of points, and some of these points, I think we as women also do not address enough. Not just a good face is something I think, women need that. When we are out there working, be it a salaried or, an entrepreneur, we need to be treated with respect. I think that is a very important takeaway for me. Personally, I've walked the journey, all of you have walked the journey, and I think all of us at some point in time have felt the need to be treated with respect. And respect because we know what we are doing, we have the capability, the subject matter expertise, and sometimes to have that barrier broken across with the man treating you with the respect, but not just for how you look or that you're a woman. And the second point that you made, which is very pertinent, and I, Monica, I'd probably want you to second and, deliberate further, is on access to finance. Do you think that even now, when we're looking at access to finance, do financial institutions think that it is risky to give, kind of funding around, to women entrepreneurs? And the second point is, are women also scared? And are we more looking at bootstrapped enterprises when it comes to women entrepreneurs? So if you can probably just touch upon this point,
Sure.
Monica, it would be helpful.
Thank you. On the contrary, I would say the bankers in today's time and the financial institutions know that if it's a woman's name who's taking the loan, 97% our success rate is that we repay the loans 97%. I think that calls for a round of applause for all the women.
Absolutely.
And I say this with so much of conviction because in the government ecosystem, students who pass out with a Skill India, Ministry of Skill India certificate, not only do they get skills, but they get an immediate financial linkages with the bank. Specifically, if I have to talk about my sector, which is beauty and wellness, SBI under Mahila loan has a separate segment for Shinghar loan. It's called Shinghar loan only. For anyone who's in the beauty and wellness sector, they want to upgrade their outlets, they want to upgrade their business, or they want to start something new. It's only given to beauty and wellness professionals. That is there. And these loans are at subsidized rates. But yes, lot need to be done because people at the bottom of the pyramid still are not aware of the government schemes and the benefits. But other than government, so that's one, even for rural and tribal women, just not that the loan is a subsidized loan through MSME, because I assume Ms. Mercy Pao was also here in the morning. So through MSME, they've got schemes under which if you are a rural or a tribal woman, 35% of the subsidy is given, and there's no collateral that the bank will ask you as long as you have a skills certificate. So those are the things, small things. I think still the road is long to go. But other than the government ecosystem, through our corporate network, we've got a lot of CSR schemes. In fact, it's with pride that I share with you that from last 3 years, LinkedIn had been doing their CSR activity on financial independence and linkages to financial independence through us. And last 3 years, we've been training women on it's an online course. And they are then linking them with the institutions. Other than this, there are a lot of other sources of funding, which is called RG. It's called returnable grant. Again, it is a US-based concept. It's through USAID. We've got that fund. And the stories of success are many in that, where these funders through government-based ecosystems are giving a grant to a beneficiary. And it's called returnable grant. It's not a loan. There's no legal responsibility on the beneficiary to repay, but there's a moral responsibility that once you start earning, please repay this amount, a token amount, in small installments so that the same can be given to another beneficiary. So it's a rotatory fund which keeps moving through small banking financial institutions, but we all need to propagate all this so that it reaches the ones who really need this kind of loan.
Great. I think, communication and, for women entrepreneurs specifically, to be aware about all the schemes that are coming up, every day is very important. We do have representation from a financial institution today. And I'm sure when, Mr. Dubashish kind of addresses it.
If I may just add in here, there's another scheme called PM Vishwakarma. This was launched last year on 17 September 2023. And under this scheme, the beneficiaries, they are given free training of 5 days. After the training, each of the beneficiaries, this is more focused on the rural area, they get a kit worth 15,000 and immediately they get a loan for 1 lakh. after finishing 5 days training, and if they do a 15 days training, they get another loan of 2 lakh. And these all are subsidized rate of interest only at a 5%. All the banking institution and the banking divisions, whether private or public banks, are offering this. Plus, there's no collateral needed.
I think these insights were really helpful. I'm sure, we should look at working, and, Rajni also suggested that Dun & Bradstreet being, a lot of work that is happening on the research and content, we should probably look at working on promoting and giving these as a part of the document when we circulate post this particular event and other events as well. So, Rajni, thank you so much for that feedback. I'm going to come back to you, Harjinder, if you don't mind, and because we're talking about government and policies, you've been prominently working in the government, with the government, and you've been providing services, which is, different from a lot of product sales that happens with other people when they're working with government. So with that as a background, because you've been working in this sector, as a woman entrepreneur, especially in a sector which is dominated by men, there have been issues in procurement sometimes, like you've already mentioned. So can you just throw a little light on that? What has your journey been of working with the government, and any government policies that have been more enabling? If you could probably, give us more insights there.
I can probably give some suggestions, because as I said that, all women are at par with men when it comes to public procurement. We are the service provider, we are the vendor. But in case the government is really looking at giving some edge to women or women-owned enterprise, 2-3 things that I want to mention here. One, if they could give EMD exemptions from the tenders to women-owned enterprise, that will be a big help. I know there is an EMD exemption for MSME registration when we bid for government tenders. If they do EMD exemption for women, number one. Number two, if they give performance guarantee, I don't know how many of us know about the government tendering, that you have to give all these guarantees once the project is taken there. If they can have subsidy in performance guarantee for government, that will be number two. Number three, in case the payment is late for a woman, because she cannot go back to her family and say my payment is delayed, or she cannot go back and say to the banker. She very rightly mentioned that we don't have many collaterals and many assets in our name. So therefore, we don't have money to give or to scale up. What we are dependent on, wherever we are doing the supplies, the payments come in time. So if there is a delayed payment, we should be paid that extra interest. Sure. And one of the main thing which I've been talking about in many meetings, it's irrespective of whether you're a man or a woman, you need to sometimes give bank guarantee. I'm sure you would agree that every department who takes a bank guarantee comes in a different format. Man, bank guarantee is a bank guarantee. I mean, if you default, you have to pay that much. Why can't we standardize it? I told to Ministry of Commerce that why can't you standardize it's like a note. A paisa, 100 rupees is equal to 100 rupees. The bank guarantee is bank guarantee, just standardize it. If you standardize it, my cost of legal vetting on a bank guarantee which I submit to government or for any contract gets saved. Your saving is done because you don't have to have a big legal department vetting the bank guarantee given by me, because one of my contractor wants it in a certain format. So all these things have to be removed. The ease of doing business has to come. Irrespective whether you are a man or a woman. So that's what I feel. And if you can give us those small incentives like EMD exemption de do aap hame payment guarantee time pe de do. And yes, I want to add another thing. There is a saying that 3% of the procurement is done from a woman in GEM. आप बोलते हैं कि 3% लेंगे, मुझे compliance दिखाइए, कहीं नहीं होएगा 3%. सर्विस सेक्टर में तो नहीं होगा. इफ़ आई टेल एनीबडी वेयर आई एम बिडिंग फॉर अ टेंडर कि ये 3% के अंडर दे दो, तो नहीं है. CVC गाइडलाइंस प्रिवेल ओवर दैट 3% ऑफ गाइडलाइन. I don't think any government department is complying to this 3% essential procurement from women, and in other countries, in US and Europe, it has become a major enabler for women entrepreneurship. When they say that we will take this procurement from women, they've really come up in life. And in our country, government is the biggest buyer. They have to enable it. Thank you.
So, you know, what you're saying is just keeping the policies and, you know, putting the policies in place is not enough. There's more to do in walking the journey and ensuring that each and every policy is implemented right at the grassroots level. Yes, and I think I'll just put a final question to you, Rajni, if I may. Based on your journey, what advice would you want to give to the young women who aspire to be entrepreneurs? Are there any particular strategies that, you know, and mindsets that they'll have to work on, which are essential for breaking barriers and succeeding in a competitive business environment?
Well, I would like to say that only the braves can accomplish their dreams. So every woman has to make it, you know, understand that the problems are going to come. It's a part of the whole system. The difficulties are going to be there, but then she has to really work hard on it. Number one. Number two, I feel that whatever my journey has been as an entrepreneur, I feel that it is your own initiative, your own subject knowledge, your own bold attitude which can make you successful. The others cannot work for you. You have to navigate your own ship. Number three, financial literacy is a must. Most of the women have no idea what their finances are talking about because they are dependent on the men folks of either their office or home. So I feel that that's one of the most important, and I think if I'm correct, Paytm has done a survey,
Yes.
which most of us might be knowing,
Yes.
that they had made a group of men and women to walk, and whatever the general questions were done, all women were ahead of men, one step ahead of men. And when it started talking about the finance, they gradually, women came back to their original places, means they hardly had any knowledge of finance. So because we are the leader, we are the captain of our ship, of our business, then it's very important for us to have the knowledge of finance. And that's very, very important. And then I will say that networking is another issue. For that, it's important to really join organizations like Federation of Indian Women Entrepreneurs and others where you can have your networking, because we cannot go in the evenings, join club and have a glass of whiskey in hand, because that's an entirely different setup. As soon as the evening comes, we just want to go back to our nests and, you know, to look after our children or our family members. This is our mindset, and I feel there is nothing wrong in it. So networking is equally important, and then work-life balance is one thing which they should keep always. And you know, one more thing that women always fail, that they keep on doubting themselves. They always feel that you know, doubtful about, can I do this, can I not do this? And that doubtful attitude brings them down. So women has to keep that also in mind. So I will say that the women of today is much more daring, much more advanced, much more intelligent, because of the, you know, facilities around them available are so many, not like the ones which we had where we had to fight for every small thing. So the things are really available around them, and they should make use of it and be successful in their endeavors.
Thank you so much. I think these all of them, and the Paytm video that you spoke about, yes, it's indeed a very powerful video. And it still holds good, actually. They've published about 10 years back, but not much has changed. If you look at the video and relate it to the current time, I think it's as adequate today as it was 10 years back. So yes, so thanks for bringing up that point, Rajni. You did mention you wanted to add a quick point, Harjinder, if you want to make it
Yes,
now.
because of, most of the men I hear, I want to request, in fact, to all the men here. I want to tell you about my experience. I started my business some 29 years ago. It was a young girl who started. Today it has become a family enterprise. My sons have joined, my husband is there, and it has become a successful business. I'm there in a party with my husband, and if anybody walks in and I say hi, the obvious addressal is to my husband. So what do you do, Mr. Dalwar? And then I have to barge in and say, so both of us are together. So you look after HR and you look after administration. No, I don't look after HR and administration. I am into policy, I am into business foundation. Change that mindset. And to the women, I want to say, sometimes when you do talk about women in business, you say बहुत अच्छी है. हम बहू नहीं ढूंढ रहे हैं, हम business women ढूंढ रहे हैं. So आप ये सोचना बंद कीजिए अच्छी है, अच्छी has got nothing to do with your business. वो घर के लिए रखे हैं. So business has to be done with fire and fight. Do that, maintain that. Is what I want to say.
Great. Thank you so much. In interest of time, I think a lot of the points which we could have done further deep diving into, we've not done. But I think this panel and the discussion has left food for thought. I'm sure all of us will go back and challenge these biases every single day that we are living with, and ensure that each and every one of us, be it a man or a woman, is helping other entrepreneur grow. We are in the growth journey, so all of us can work that together. Do I have time to pick up one or two questions, Mir? Yeah? Any questions? Yeah, I can see your hand there behind. Do I have a mic that can go to him? Piche, piche.
I actually have an interesting question to our panelists and our moderator. We're going to probably do that once we cater to that question, okay?
Great.
Okay.
Yes, we will look at that.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Neeraj and I represent a company called Infogain. We are an IT services firm and I work in human resources, and which is a stereotyped function, as the esteemed panelist just mentioned. I personally feel, and this is more of a comment than a question, that I personally feel that things are changing. I have a team of 25 women who work with me, and each one of them is a lioness, right? And they are the ones who make things happen on the ground. I never face any challenge. That's one. Second, I contribute towards my home. Okay? I have a 5-month-old daughter and I change her nappies. I make sure that I support my wife for whatever she does. So while we try to stereotype men, I think we should also try and celebrate men who are contributing towards the change, and not always stereotype by saying that, men don't contribute. So that was my point.
Absolutely agree. But if I may, and it's not just you, right? Why do men feel they're supporting if they're changing nappies? She's your daughter too. How are you supporting a woman? It's your family. And that's the stereotype you're talking about breaking. You made progress. You've absolutely made progress. But we are in it equally, sir. 50% is what we're looking at, if not more. Thank you for bringing that aspect. You just, beautifully summarized what we've been trying to say.
Let me just
Thank you,
add.
but we do celebrate you. We are because you are. If all of us here, and I think Rajni had already pointed it, if it isn't that all of us in the family work with each other, support each other, and in it together, we wouldn't have been here. So thank you so much for that. Thank you. We do celebrate men like you. So thank you very much.